Court really final? Should the Supreme Court be final? Should the Supreme Court verdict be the last verdict as the final court? Or should the Supreme Court review its judgment? Could the Supreme Court even make mistakes in this judgment? And if they make mistakes, what do we do about it? Do we just swallow the pill with some water and just let it rest because it's from the Supreme Court? And shouldn't the Supreme Court actually be final? That's a conversation for the next 1.5 hours. You're welcome to the Morning Crossfire. I'm Wemimo Adewuni, and I'll be asking you what your thoughts are. Yesterday was the sitting to hear the application for review of the Supreme Court ruling on the Umaguba election, and it's been adjourned till today. We will take you to Abuja. You can see the Supreme Court and get a feel of what's going on live there this morning, setting the mood for the judgment that will be made today. You also go to Imo State to let you know how people in Imo State are reacting to this call for a review. The Supreme Court is the highest court in the land, and it's said to be absolute in its judgment. Section 235 of the 1999 Constitution provides, I quote, without prejudice to the powers of the president or of a governor of a state with respect to prerogative of mercy, no appeal shall lie to any other body or person from the determination from the Supreme Court. Did you get that? This statement reiterates the supremacy of the Supreme Court. So after the Supreme Court, no other body, no other person shall sit to appeal any case determined by the Supreme Court. Also, Order 8, Rule 19 of the Supreme Court states, I quote again, the court shall review any judgment once given and deliver it, save to correct any clerical mistake or some error arising from any accidental slip or omission, or to vary the judgment or order so as to give effect to its meaning or intention. The judgment or order shall be varied when it correctly represents what the court decides, nor shall the operative and substantial part of it be varied and from a different form substituted. So, last year, the Supreme Court dismissed the application for the review of its judgment on the Bayelsa state election filed by the APC and its candidate, and also awarded fine against the lawyers of the applicants. On Monday, yesterday, the Supreme Court again adjourned till March 17 to hear the application asking it to review its judgment that sacked the candidates of the APC that won various positions in Zamfara State in the 2019 general elections. Yesterday also, the Supreme Court has been quite busy. The Supreme Court adjourned the hearing of the application filed by the People's Democratic Party and its Imo State governorship candidate, Emeka Ihediola, till today, March 3rd. The application is seeking the review of its January 14 judgment, which removed Ihediola from office as the state governor. So the question is, given what we've heard and how busy you see the Supreme Court be, we're all wondering, will the judgment favor Ihediola today or the other candidates who are also asking for the same thing? Everyone seemed to be sure that this will swing in their favor. Welcome to the show once again. I'm Wemimo Adewuni, and I'd like to start with you like we always do. Do you think that the Supreme Court should be final in its judgment and no one should be asking for a review? Or do you think, well, they are human beings, there must be room for some improvement or some correction? If there is, and everyone is then asking for a review, haven't we turned the Supreme Court into a court of appeal, appealing its own judgment? Tell me what you think.
Call us on 01-277-0993, 01-277-1993, 01-277-2993, and 01-277-3993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
All right, welcome back. I'd like to start by taking you to Owerri to speak with our correspondent there. Kenechukwu Ofoma is right there. He was following up for us yesterday, looking at what the people in Imo State are saying about this review. Kenechukwu, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. How is Imo State the past few days? What's the feel around there?
Yeah, Imo is more like untold at the moment. There is this air of uncertainty, hovering around. People tend not to know, where the state will be after today, whether in the hands of the PDP or in the hands of the APC. The APC are confident. They are more relaxed. You remember that the plea for adjournment on this review judgment was applied for by the PDP. And again, the second one that happened yesterday was also applied for by the PDP. So the APC looks, to be more relaxed. They are confident that they are going to come out of this process, winners. On the part of PDP, they are more like prayerful. In the past few days, they held a prayer rally at Assumpta Cathedral, where they saw the face of God, to come out to have a better outcome from this judgment.
Prayers, right?
Are more like prayers.
So you say they seem relaxed, but what are the people saying? I mean, this is stalling governance in Imo State. I mean, everyone is waiting. Where will the pendulum swing? Do the people seem bothered at all about what's happening?
Yes, I happened to speak to some Imolites, and overall, what I gathered from what everybody is saying, irrespective of the political party, is that this judgment is going to, be a milestone in the political history of Nigeria. There are a whole lot of questions around, decisions of the Supreme Court, and it's expected from them that this Imo State, their own state, is going to set a precedent that, going forward, the nation will have to look back at, when considering issues like this. But aside that, there is also nobody seems to know what is going to happen. Mm-hmm. That is the reality on ground. The Imolites are expecting that they're going to come out of this process, a better state, stronger, and in the hands of a better leader. But nobody knows what is going to happen, and that's what scares them most.
Now, this again boils down to what happened during the elections when citizens came out to vote their choice, but their choice is now being contested. So it appears that at both ends, everyone feels this is a candidate I voted for. This is who I want to be the governor. The other side also think, but this is who I voted as governor, and this is who I want to be governor. Now, do you think that the decision of the Supreme Court today might again tear the people further down these lines, thinking that do they feel like justice will truly be served?
On a lighter note, I've heard some persons say that there's no need for them to go out for elections again, since who eventually emerges as their leader, is determined by the judges, despite what they do at the polls. But that aside, I think it's only with the evidence on ground and with how viral this Imo issue has gone. All eyes are on the judiciary, the Supreme Court, to redeem itself. I wouldn't want to say redeem itself, but take a stand that when political watchers, observe, they should be able to say that yes, the judiciary did the right thing at this time.
But it's something pretty tricky because neither of the candidates met the constitutional 25% of votes in 2/3 of the 27 local government areas. So it's pretty dicey. Do you think this is more about the judiciary, or does this place a shadow on INEC in deciding who and announcing a winner in an election?
While INEC is the ultimate umpire in every election, this, as it stands now, has gone beyond the INEC. You remember there are a whole lot of inconsistencies that trailed the outcome of this election. But at this point now, all these agencies having done their work, the major bulk is on the judiciary now, to look at everything everybody has done and be able to render a judgment that, would reflect the actual position on ground. Recall that there are a lot of issues that have also, followed development. You have many massive defections from the PDP to the APC. initially, Imo State was an APC state under former Governor Rocha Sokorocha, and these persons jumped ship, to rally around the then governor, the ex-Y governor Ihedioha, and now they are back at APC. So there are a whole lot of dynamics, there are a whole lot of changes. There is people do not know what is actually happening.
Right.
So I believe at this point the major responsibility is on the judiciary, and that's what the people are saying. That they are looking up to the judiciary to live up to its billing and deliver a judgment that they should be proud of.
Right, but is that calm in Imo State right now in Owerri? I hope there is no violence, no reported cases.
Yeah, I've been around. I moved around town. Last night I happened to. It's still the same Owerri that you used to know. Bubbling nightlife. There seems to be no problems, but I observed heavy presence of security personnel, especially at the government house, where you have armored tanks stationed.
Wow.
And it's simply, according to them, according to the police, it's just to ensure that whatever happens today, that the state remains peaceful and stable.
Right. Kanenchukwu, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed on what's happening in Imo State as we all wait for the Supreme Court to make its judgment today. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
All right. Kanenchukwu Ofoma is our correspondent who is in Owerri, Imo State, bringing us up to speed as to what's happening there. Let me go to Facebook to read this very interesting comment. Yusuf Akiwale says, I think Nollywood industry should be scrapped because the Nigerian political scene can generate a $1 trillion industry. The movie in that sector is just too much. What do you think about what's going on? I'll be speaking with a lawyer very soon about the Supreme Court reviewing its judgment. And again, do we trust the electoral system? You can join the conversation right now. If you'd like to call, here are the numbers.
Call us on 01-277-0993, 01-277-1993, 01-277-2993, and 01-277-3993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
I'm right here listening to you. Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Welcome to the show. What's your name?
You have Chief Larry on the line calling from Isona.
Welcome, Chief Larry. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm from Imo State, and the reality, of what is happening in Imo State as of today is that the people are not bothered really, about what is going to happen today because their minds has been, made up for a long while that what we are going to experience might not be the true picture of what is supposed to be. But then, asking the question whether the Supreme Court will reverse itself, I think the Supreme Court has done it before, and if there are some certain abnormalities, regarding their judgment, especially when you have the kind of situation we have, a system must purge itself. If you look at the appointment of the CJ and so many other things that happened within the judiciary, the removal of Honore and so many things, nobody in Nigeria envisaged that such a thing would happen. So in the event that we experience such kind of madness in the system, especially as regards the judiciary, what do you expect? So it is the duty of the judiciary. It's expectant, as far as I'm concerned, that there must be, whenever you have a seemingly rough situation as regards the leadership, if you have some certain things that's not moving well, because there are situations in some countries that when you have a real contest, anything goes. Then what do you want the judiciary to do?
Well, so you are saying that you don't trust the judiciary to make the best decisions here?
No, now they're supposed to. That is what I'm saying. In the event that you have maybe somebody as a panebita doing painting, like the suggestions of people, that maybe tango this pass through the Sharia, not the normal cause, and the certification and so many other things, was put to a question on certain times. But then, if you have a situation like that, what do you expect? So I expect this court now, because of the eyes, the first light of the whole world is in Imo State at this moment, for what we're getting from the media. So automatically everybody will sit up.
Right.
If somebody wants to sacrifice almost 30, 20-something years of his service in the judiciary on a platter of maybe one intimidation or one porridge of them, let the person all well and good for that person.
Thank you very much. Let's keep it going. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. What's your name?
Yes. My name is Jadin from Ikoyi.
Jadin, are you following this situation?
Yes, I'm following.
Yeah, tell me what you think.
The Supreme Court is not appeal court. And I don't think any reasonable lawyer that apply for reversal is just, it's not following the court judgment. Because they knew it from the law themselves that it cannot be reversed. Now, the Supreme Court will surprise them because they will come up with a strict punishment for those who apply for such case as the one of Bayelsa, that they find the lawyers. Now, the Supreme Court can nullify that election if they want to do anything funny. They can nullify the election and ask them to go back to the poll. And I think such thing will happen and will be of a surprise to Imo people. Thank you.
That would be such a thing to watch. Ask them to go back to the polls. That will be quite a thing to watch. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, my name is Wale, calling from Arepo.
Wale, welcome.
I live in Arepo.
Arepo, okay.
Yeah, okay. What I expect the Supreme Court to do initially, based on the issues of two thoughts, because, like you said, the two candidates did not meet the requirement, the two-third requirement as stated by the Constitution. What I expect, was that the Supreme Court would order for a rerun. Okay? For me, that would have been the best thing, in the circumstance. And also going back to Baisa, you see, the inconsistency of the Supreme Court is coming to fore now. Because in Kogi, you said the problem of any of the candidates, whether as running mate or as a gubernatorial candidate, cannot invalidate, or can invalidate, or cannot invalidate the mandate of the other. But in Bayelsa, you said it can invalidate it. Okay? You then said, because the deputy governor is not qualified again, therefore the governor is also not qualified. But in Kogi, when the governor died, you said the deputy governor cannot. So
there appears to be some inconsistency.
Yes, and the judiciary, they must not set precedent. It's not about party, it's about APC, it's not about PDP now. It's about consistency that we expect of the Supreme Court. And that needs to be guarded carefully by the Supreme Court.
Thank you very much for calling. I'll take a final call for now, and then speak to my guest. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, Wemimo. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. What's your name?
Good morning, Nigerians. Yeah. The people of Imo State.
You want to tell me your name?
My name is Joseph Amagebo.
Welcome, Joseph.
Yes. So the judgment of today will actually prove if the people of Imo State can trust the ruling of the Supreme Court, because they already know what they want. So whatever the outcome of today's judgment from the Supreme Court, comes up with, the people will know whether if they can still trust the judgment of the Supreme Court or the judgment of the judge.
The question is, even if you don't trust their judgments, what can you do about it? So the Supreme Court is supreme.
Yes, they are supreme. But the point is, if you don't trust the judgment and you know that the outcome of the judgment, is not right, does not conform to the facts presented by the two lawyers, for the two parties. I think it is high time the judges begin to dish out the right judgment and to follow what is on ground, so that they are able to get the support of the masses, because people are looking at this as the normal thing that happens in the past. So if you don't do the right thing now, I'm sorry, people are not going to be, happy with it, with the judgment of today's
right.
Imo State.
Thank you very much for calling and keep listening. I'm getting Barrister Money Obani to join me on this conversation just in a moment. And I'm asking, do we like the judgment of the Supreme Court? Some people will, depending on what side of the table you're on. Some would not. But whether you like it or not, can you really do anything about it? Can you call for a review? I'd also be running you through cases that the Supreme Court had a review on in time past. But we did speak with Lagosians. Our correspondent's Good News in the Quay went on the road and spoke with some Lagosians, and here is what they said.
What's the point of reviewing a decision made? You were in your right senses when you made a decision. You should have put everything into perspective. You reviewing your decision means that probably you don't know what you're doing, because it means that, you've noticed that something is wrong with the decision you made before you want to correct it. Before actually making a decision, put everything into perspective to see that it satisfies everything needed before you put it into law.
Some cases they do well. Some they favor the people, so if the girls, people they guilty. Let me use for example now the lady with the sentence by hanging now. So she get children. So who go now take care of children? Where the children go there? Where be their future? Make courts review their case.
Supreme Court, they have the power to do it, but not that it's right. But they have the power to do it.
Them going back to review it means they don't know what they are doing. To me, because if they've done this the first time, why are you going back? If you're sure of what you're doing, you should not go back to review it. If you're 100%, just stand by your word. Because if they go back to review it and they change their judgment, what happens to the previous judgment? Before they can give any ruling, even if it will take a whole while, let them just wait to give the correct ruling, rather than just going back and forth and making us feel like, okay, we don't know what we're doing in this country. And even internationally, how does it speak well of us? Like, what kind of picture are they painting for us internationally?
What kind of picture does it paint for us internationally? Barrister Money Obani joins me on the show. Good morning, Barrister Money Obani.
Yeah,
I wish I could put you on to listen to some of the comments I had taken before bringing you on, and the comments are the comments are torn, as you can expect. People are saying, well, we should stop bothering the Supreme Court, but others are saying the case with Imo is a very peculiar one, and in cases like that, we can ask the Supreme Court to look at it. Let's take a look at. I'm reading so many things people have to say. About the Imo State Guber election. It seems to be something very interesting. Now, according to INEC, Uzodinma had gathered the fourth highest votes in the election. The APC candidate said, in fact, that he even had the highest vote. If the votes from the 388 polling units, which he said were his strongholds, were all collated, he believes he had the highest vote. The Supreme Court favored his prayer, declared him the winner. But barely 24 hours after that ruling was given, Uzodinma received a certificate of return from INEC. But the Electoral Commission maintained the election was credible despite some challenges. Now, there are parts of this ruling, of the court decision, that remain unclear, and that's why you were here to tell us. In circumstances, I hold that there is merit in this appeal. I'm quoting Justice Kudirat Olatokunbo Kekereku, who sat on this issue. It says, the appeal is allowed. The judgment of the lower court affirming the judgment of the Governorship Election Tribunal is hereby set aside. Other justices on the panel were Chief Justice of Nigeria, Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad, Mwale Sylvester Nguta, Olukade Ariwola, Amiru Sanusi, Amina Adamu, and Uwani Musa Abaji. But the conversations around who scored more during this election, what does the law say about who should win an election? How do we calculate who becomes a winner in an election? Barrister Modebani, the elections are done, but we're still debating these matters.
Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate that we're still talking about the Supreme Court decision, because I know in all other areas of law, like matrimony, land matter, and all other cases like constitutional matter, we have never had issue like this when the Supreme Court, which is the final court of the land, after giving its final decision, parties go back again, start bothering Supreme Court. We have never had it like this. I know that there was a time Supreme Court was not the final court in the land when we were under the British colony, where the Privy Council was the highest court of the land, even after the Supreme Court of Nigeria. But when we got political independence, the Supreme Court, both by law, both by tradition, both by precedent, becomes the final court. And they have made it very clear that the finality of the Supreme Court is not because of the fact that they are clearly infallible. I mean, they are human beings, that they are subject to some mistakes, but then the infallibility actually stems from the fact that they are final. And that has always been the position of the Supreme Court justices. So in political cases in Nigeria, we have had issues with our courts, both at the appellate level and then final court, that is Supreme Court. There has been this level of inconsistencies, sometimes of turning precedents, and sometimes on not well-established principles. We have had issues. On a serious note, we have had issues with the Nigerian court when it comes to political cases, no doubt. But in no case, there's no case that have actually generated so much controversy and crisis like that of Imo State, to the extent that people were put into the street, to protest, and they're still protesting that decision. And so there is so much interest, and so we hope that today there will be finality put to all that crisis so that we can take a rest. But let me say this: what happened again, as explained by the Supreme Court, was that there was a complaint, by Hope Uzodimma that his own results in 388 polling units were clearly excluded by INEC. And according to him, elections took place in those polling units. And that INEC has not come with any sufficient fact to contradict the fact that election never took place. Because there is a form you feel that the presiding officer ought to fill if election never takes place in any polling unit. But that form, I think the other, from something 40G, EC 40G, and that form was not filled by any presiding officer, showing evidence of the fact that election never took place in those polling units, and that he won in all those polling units. And that if those results were clearly added to his results already pronounced by INEC, that he ought to be declared the winner of that decision. So, and then the process with which those documents, were admitted has been an issue. Who actually is the person to tender election results of polling unit? Could it be the polling unit agent or INEC, or could one policeman, who happens to be the security that actually participates in the election, come out just with one form and just dump it, to the court, and then without speaking to those documents, the court will go ahead and admit that evidence and then give probative value to those documents. That has been an issue, and for us, the Supreme Court has never followed it that way. Supreme Court has always insisted that every document must be spoken to, that every document you dump in you must be cross-examined on it as to the veracity of the content of that document. That was not done in the Adewuni's case and other. To us, that is like the Supreme Court now is lessening the burden. To me, I wrote an article on it. Yeah. It's like the Supreme Court is lessening the burden of proof on parties to electoral process, because we know what they have always insisted, that all matters must be proved, that you cannot just come and dump documents and all that. But in the Adewuni's case, it was like documents were dumped and the Supreme Court accepted it. That is. But we
had a tribunal sitting on this same matter.
Yes.
Do you then think that the tribunal did not do a good job?
Well, the tribunal itself agreed with Adewuni, saying that those documents were just dumped, and as long as those documents were not explained to, clear evidence, given to those documents, that they are merely dumping, and there is a law that governs the issue of dumping documents, principle governing dumping of documents. They cannot in any way ascribe any probative value, which is what they did both at the lowest court and the Divine Court of Appeal. But the Supreme Court upturned all that and said no, that they are ready to accept those documents that was dumped by the police officer. That is actually, and that's why people are becoming but that's not that has not been the principle established by Supreme Court. But having said that, my lovely sister, we have never seen a situation where people, even when the Supreme Court is apparently wrong, come back again, begin to ask Supreme Court to sit on appeal over his decision, because there won't be any finality to litigation if we begin to go back to the final court of the land, asking the Supreme Court to now sit
on appeal, as if that Supreme Court decision, the first decision, was like a Court of Appeal decision. And you're not asking the Supreme Court now.
We're saying that the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court is gradually become a Court of Appeal.
Yeah, that's what they are turning, because it came to a stage where almost everyone who lost cases, 20 years ago, 30 years ago at the Supreme Court was not gearing up, to ask for a review. We hear all manner of people coming up with, asking for.
Oh, so many cases are now coming up. Everyone's saying, okay, I want a review of my own case too. Maybe the Supreme Court was wrong.
Even those that lost their own in 1970, and we are all cheering up, based upon the precedent that is being established. That is actually, what made the Supreme Court now in Bayelsa. Case, when that review thing came up, and the judge was like, we are crying. We are weeping, because never in the history, our legal history, has there been, such, brazen, act of lawyers coming back, asking Supreme Court, which is the final court, to begin to review, sit on appeal over his decision.
But let me hold you a minute and head off for a very, very short break. I'm due for one. When we come back, I'll run you through. Many of these cases will be very familiar to you. Some of the cases in which the Supreme Court had been asked to review its judgment in those areas, and we'll compare with what we have currently, and we ask ourselves, should the Supreme Court review its judgment if one party thinks that they made a mistake? You can join the show live on Facebook and YouTube, Nigeria Info 99.3. Twitter is at Nigeria Info FM, and the WhatsApp number is 08095975825. More conversations coming up. I see the phone lines buzzing. I'll take your calls when I return from this break.
Is a paid announcement.
All right, 99.3 Nigeria Info. It is 36 minutes past 8 o'clock, and I have an announcement for you before you go back to the morning Crossfire. So, would you like to retool your factory, get acquainted with current trends in the manufacturing sector, or discover locally available raw materials for your manufacturing needs? Well, then you should be present at this year's Nigeria Manufacturing and Equipment Expo of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, co-located with the Nigerian Raw Materials Exposition of the Raw Materials Research and Development Council, holding from the 10th to the 12th of March 2020 at Landmark Event Center, Victoria Island, Lagos. Best part, attendance is absolutely free. So to participate, you can visit www.nigeriamanufacturingexpo.com or nigeriarawmaterialsexpo.com. Once again, those websites are nigeriamanufacturingexpo.com or nigeriarawmaterialsexpo.com. For inquiries, you can call 0817 849 3887 or 0803 592 2652. Once again, those numbers are 0817 849 3887 or 0803 592 2652.
That has been a paid announcement. From your number one talk news and sports station. This is the Morning Crossfire with Wemimo and Sheriff.
Welcome back, 99.3 Nigeria Info, and we're asking having this conversation around the Supreme Court. Is the Supreme Court truly final, or should the Supreme Court review its judgment when parties in that case feel or think that beyond reasonable doubt the Supreme Court was wrong? I'm Wemimo Adewuni. You are welcome. And Barrister Model Ban is here with me on the line. Thank you for holding the line, sir.
Yeah.
Let me remind you of what happened in 2006, 2007. Rotimi Amechi contested and won the Rivers State PDP under PDP governorship primaries. But following inter-party squabbles, his name was substituted for Celestine Omehia before the election. 2007, Amechi filed a suit challenging the alleged injustice, and the matter went on from the lower court to the Supreme Court. October 25, 2007, the Supreme Court held that Amechi was wrongly substituted with Omehia by the PDP, and that in the eyes of the law, Amechi, who did not contest the election at all, was actually the legal candidate of the PDP at that election, and proceeded to declare him as a governor of Rivers State. Omehia reappealed, insisting that the Supreme Court judgment contradicted some provisions of the Constitution. On November 2, 2009, the Apex Court dismissed Omehia's application seeking for a review of its judgment, and the 7-man panel led by Justice Aloysius Katsina Alu described the suit as frivolous and as judicial rascality. They also dismissed the case with 100,000 naira cost, saying that even if it was a mistake, the Apex Court has a right to make a mistake. Barrister Bani, does the Apex Court have a right? Is it a right they have to even make a mistake?
Well, I'm sure it was not put in such a manner as to convey the deeper thoughts, in that pronouncement. What they're trying to say is that the Supreme Court of Nigeria is today the final court of the land. Whenever it makes a decision, you don't come back to that Supreme Court asking for an appeal again. You don't bring an appeal before a final court. That's clearly an aberration. In other words, even if they have made a mistake in the decision they have made concerning that matter you are complaining about, the only way they can correct that mistake will not be in the same case. That is what we have known about Supreme Court.
So how would this case be reviewed? Do you then rewrite?
No, that would be if a similar fact, if similar case, with similar facts comes before the Supreme Court, and they admit the fact that they were mistaken in their earlier judgment, they can now reverse themselves. Their Supreme Court does, but it is very rare
to reverse itself in the same case, because there won't be an end to litigation if they will begin to entertain every other appeal after they have given a decision as the final court of the land. Even though I wanted to say, before we went on this short break, that Supreme Court does review itself. But they have set out grounds under which they can. If there is what you call clerical error, there may be a mistake, what you call clerical error in their earlier judgment, or when that judgment is given without jurisdiction, or, under their slip rule, in making a pronouncement, they pronounce a different thing entirely, and you now, point it out. Or when the Supreme Court has given a decision and is not too clear as to the meaning and impact of that decision, and parties now want the Supreme Court to actually give meaning, to the decision they have reached and all that, you can come back and then they take a look at it and then probably, try to clarify the position they have taken earlier.
That's to give an interpretation of that judgment.
That would be beautiful. That would be like interpretation of their judgment and giving a fuller and an understanding of what they have. But not for you to come back by way of appeal again, because even if you call it review and if they look at it that you are now raising grounds of appeal in a decision they have, even though wrongly, it is like you are asking them again to sit on appeal over their earlier decision.
So are you saying that we expect that in the case of Ihedioha and Uzodimma, that the Supreme Court again might throw this out? I mean, if they will toe the line you've just said, which is to say that you're asking us to review what we've done.
I like you. You want me to preempt the Supreme Court? Look at you. You're putting me in witness box,
Absolutely. It's the morning crossfire.
I have a right to remain silent. Because anything I say can be used against me
in the court of law. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me read to you Section 235, which I read in the introduction of the 99 Constitution. Without prejudice to the powers of the president or of a governor of a state with respect to prerogative of mercy, no appeal shall lie to any other body or person from any determination from the Supreme Court. This would mean that after the Supreme Court, there is no other court that can sit on a matter.
That's correct.
Let me add to this.
Including the Supreme Court itself. Yeah.
Including the Supreme Court itself. This is the part I'd like you to interpret. This is Order 8, Rule 16 of the Supreme Court rules, which state that the court shall review any judgment once given and deliver by it, save to correct any clerical mistake or some error arising from an accidental slip or omission, or to vary the judgment or order so as to give effect to its meaning or intention. The judgment or order shall be varied. So what does this mean? That unless there is a clerical mistake, that's the only thing they can review.
Yeah, I thought I explained it now. I say, yes, the Supreme Court can take a look at his decision once again under the slip rule. The slip rule is that probably you are making a pronouncement, and in the pronouncement you say a different thing entirely, giving effect entirely different from what the Supreme Court meant. You can come back and they will look at it. Clerical error, I've mentioned it. These are grounds. A judgment given without jurisdiction, or to give fuller meaning, so that people can understand the import of their decision. Yes, you can come back. That is the rule. That particular order and rule you quoted now of the Supreme Court. It allows you to come back for that review. But the review we are having presently, both in Bayelsa, Zamfara, and can that fall under that particular rule now? That is one thing. That is what the Supreme Court now said in Bayelsa case, that those people that came back did not come back under this particular order rule you just quoted of the Supreme Court, that they came by way of appeal again. And that cannot be allowed to happen because there must be an end to litigation. That is what the Supreme Court...
So let's set our own end to this litigation. You might say preempting the Supreme Court, but let's situate this. So let's get back to the pre-election matter and the post-election matter. So how is a governor decided in an election?
How is the governor's election decided?
Yes.
Well, in any state, for any governor to be declared a winner, he must score 25% in at least 2/3 of the entire local government council in the state. The issue of spread, and then you must have the highest vote. I mean, there are many contestants in election. One, if you must be declared a winner, the issue of spread is one. Then the issue of what did you score, what percentage, 25%, 1/4 in all the local government is considered. Then thirdly, you must be the person with the highest vote.
These are the three. This is under which you can now emerge as the governor.
So these are the three things being contested right now. I wanted you to say that yourself. These are the things being contested, particularly the 25% in all local government.
Well, what I understand, the people that also went back to Supreme Court is saying that even Hope, I mean, Hope also them did not even score the requisite 25% into third of the local government. That's the contention.
Right.
Which also was a contention of the other contestants against Ihedioha.
So they're both claiming that no one scored 25%.
Yes, that's what they are alleging. And so that's why people are now saying, well, in the light of this, can the Supreme Court now act very wrong instead of probably declaring Hope as the winner? But in doing that now, that would be like going back again to the electoral matter, which by law now has elapsed. There is a timeline within which to decide all these electoral issues.
So the only thing to do is for the Supreme Court to just do, throw the sticks or the stones and just pick someone, so we don't go back to the pre-election matters. Is that a better way to resolve it?
That's what is going to happen. You see, my sister, it is important we point out that after saying all the legal jargons, that we should try as much as possible as a nation to ensure that our electoral system is actually free, fair, and credible.
Right.
Because if you get it right at the polling unit, there won't be any issue of maybe 7-man panel sitting down to upon the decision, or the mandate that is given by the people, just like what happened in Bayelsa. We should try as much as possible to really make our electoral system, both at the primary level. I'm talking about pre-election matters. Let political parties try to instill sanity in the electoral process. Let them try as much as possible to follow, the rule of the game. Let them follow their law in electing people or in selecting those who will run primary elections for them. At the end of the day, who they will present for the national election. Then at the national election is that we must try and make our electoral system also to be free and fair and credible. If we do all that, there will be less intervention of the judiciary, and we don't even need to go and contaminate judiciary, because what is going on now is that the Supreme Court is being reduced to nothing by what is actually playing out. Imagine people going on the street, to protest
the Supreme Court. Let me ask you, because I know you have a court sitting at 9. How does
Honestly, I am running late because
I know. I know.
My driver did not come to work today.
Oh, I'm so sorry. This is going to be my final question, so you're not charged for contempt of court.
Honestly, I don't want to miss that case. Yes,
so here it is. How has this sitting affected other cases that are non-electoral? With all the time we've spent on electoral matters, how has this affected other cases?
My sister, as I speak to you now, I have cases before the Supreme Court. I have cases before the Court of Appeal, and there is no single date given to them, because election has taken over all. In fact, if there is any date now you'll be thinking about 2023, 2020.
Wow.
And people say you want to go and be a senior advocate. How is there is cases? This case that determine you are senior advocate of being a advocate of Nigeria. And when you cannot have a date in Supreme Court, you can't have a date. I have so many in Court of Appeal, no single date assigned. I was in Court of Appeal yesterday. They were not there. No court of the appeal, Court of Appeal yesterday. But none of them, both Court 1 and Court 2, were all there yesterday. It's so frustrating. For other cases, you have before the Supreme Court, no date can be given to you because of election matter. They are human beings too. They're overburdened. The Court of Appeal, the same thing. Most of them are, justices of the election tribunal. Even the Federal High Court. If you go to Federal High Court and even industrial, court, most of the judges there are being used for electoral matters, and most times their cases are, not given any date until there's the industrial case I have, and court is always very, very, very efficient, and they have now adjourned it in July, and the judge say he's going for another election tribunal. Matter. Wow. I don't know which one again. So you see that these judges are being used in election matters, and other cases are suffering. It's not helping matter. It's an intelligent question you have asked. Yeah. A lot of lawyers are crying, but most of them are not speaking out. A lot of them cannot have their cases here because of this election matter. Election has taken over. Election, and they are very willing and eager. These judges are willing to, and they are very happy when they are appointed as justices for election tribunal matters. They're very happy about it. And then abandon their merit.
Why would they be happy about it? Is there more remuneration coming from them?
I don't know.
So go and hang them.
Barrister Modiobani, thank you very much for joining the Morning Crossfire today.
God bless
and
you,
have a great time in court today.
Thank you. God
All
bless
right.
you.
Barrister Modiobani has a court sitting at 9 a.m. Had to drag him in. Let me take your thoughts on our conversation so far. Is the Supreme Court final? Is it infallible? Do we trust the system? Isn't this all about the electoral system from scratch? Why are we still here? So many cases pending can't be heard because of these election matters. Do you have a case before any court and it's not been heard? Please tell me about it. If you don't have our numbers, let me give them to you once again.
Call us on 01-277-0993, 01-277-1993, 01-277-2993, and 01-277-3993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
This is Nigeria Info. We're listening, and yes, our correspondent Akambayomi just told me that he's ready at the Supreme Court in Abuja. So I'll take you there. If you're not on Facebook, head over there right now on YouTube, Nigeria Info 99.3, and you can watch live what the Supreme Court looks like this morning. Everyone waiting for these judgments. Jonathan is at Ajao Estate. Good morning, Jonathan.
Yeah, Wemimo, how are you doing?
Great, thank you.
Thank you for bringing this topic on board. And I like the note that this your discussion just ended now.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, I've been telling you that myself and some of us are having a case at the Supreme Court. That's what Vice Abani just said is what is affecting us right now.
Mm.
I'm begging you, Wemimo, please, make it a topical issue one day. Please. We have been infringed since 2013. We muscle all our wills as ordinary Nigerians. I'm telling you what, I don't want to talk more on the air. But we muscle all our wills, even in the midst of our infringement. We got to the Supreme Court. We have even got to the Supreme Court. We sent our chairman and secretary. I wasn't able to go. Sorry, I wasn't able to go. So go and see how we are going to get a date. Up to today, we can't get it. We can't run a country like this. Because of election, all of us on the street, we are useless. Is that what they are saying?
You're saying maybe election matters. I know maybe you send me details. You've mentioned this case quite a number of times.
I even sent it. I sent the publication on the newspaper. I sent it to you sometime if you remember.
Oh, you did? Please resend it. I guess I missed it. Please resend it. I'd like to look through it.
I'll do that.
All right, Jonathan, thank you so much. WhatsApp here, message from Kingsley. Good morning, Wemimo. It's a pity the Nigerian politicians indirectly play politics with people's lives. Okay. All right. I think your comments are more around stories from the front page this morning. So let me stay with this one. Uche Nwogu from Lagos says the Supreme Court can review itself to correct errors. Emmanuel is on the line from Ikeja. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, interesting discourse with Barrister Ubani.
All right, thank you.
You know, I mean, I want to address this issue from two angles. One, you know, the possibility of the Supreme Court reversing its judgment, and then the structural issues that we have regarding the constitution, appointment of judges, you know, the overwork. I mean, the burden on the judges, you know, catch up with cases, the dockets are full and all that. First off, it's very clear as per Supreme Court rules, you know, the circumstances under which a Supreme Court can reverse itself. I like what the lawyer said, that I think this problem somehow emanated from the Supreme Court itself. You may not really blame them. It's a structural problem. Because if the constitution is amended and that we have more judges at the Supreme Court, then they'll have less work to do and they will manage the one they have. The possibility, what I'm expecting today is not a reversal. What I'm expecting today is that the Supreme Court may explain the rationale for its judgment to make it clearer.
Unfortunately, no matter how much explanations they give, whoever is on the receiving end would not like it unless they call for a rerun. And a rerun is no longer possible by the Electoral Act.
They don't have to. That is where we're coming from, that the Supreme Court should be structured in such a way that at the point of issuing a judgment, even the losing party will somehow, you know, say that, okay, the court has been seen to have done all it's supposed to do.
Right.
Let's not forget that the Supreme Court is not a court of evidence. It's not a court where you begin to come and lay evidence.
Yeah, and begin to prove
We have High
everything.
Court, we have the court of appeal. Even the court of appeal, you don't go to introduce evidence and say except on some exceptional circumstances. It is the court of first instance. In this case, the tribunal. That is where you call your witnesses, you adduce all facts, and you marry the facts with the laws, and they evaluate facts. And in most cases, if the tribunal does the thorough work, you will hardly ever see the court of appeal upturn it, or even at the second floor. Supreme Court.
Emmanuel, thank you so much. I need to head out for a break now. Thank you, Emmanuel. I need to head out for a break now for the ads and the news, but thank you for calling. I'll take more of your calls after this, okay? Please stay here. This is the Morning Crossfire. Today, I'm asking you a very tough question. Is the Supreme Court really final? Is the Supreme Court infallible? Can they not make mistakes? If they make mistakes, do we just leave it? If we don't leave it, what can we do? Do we just live with it? That's a conversation of the Morning Crossfire. When I return, I'd also take you to Abuja. Correspondent Akin Abayomi is there at the Supreme Court, and he'll be showing you live. So you can see, you can feel the tension, if there's any. You can feel the atmosphere. You can see it for yourself. Head over to Facebook, Nigeria Info 99.3, and you can watch our live feed. Also on YouTube, Nigeria Info 99.3. I'm Wemimo Adewuni. I'm back just after this.
Talk, news, and sports after this.
the PDP's plea.
Nigeria. From your number one talk news and sports station. This is the Morning Crossfire with Wemimo and Sheriff.
Welcome back, 99.3 Nigeria Info. This is the Morning Crossfire. I'm Wemimo Adewuni, and I'm asking you questions about the review of the Supreme Court's judgment. How can we ask the Supreme Court, which is the final court of the land, to review its judgment? But can they not make mistakes? And if they do make mistakes, do we just live with it? The case is set to be heard today. It was adjourned from yesterday to today. We hope the final ruling today on the Gubal elections, where both parties and candidates are alleging that neither of them had 25% of the total vote from all the local government areas. If they don't, do we expect the Supreme Court to then ask for a rerun? Can they ask for a rerun when the time frame within which that can happen by law is over? Seems to be a dicey situation. Seems the Supreme Court might be in a tight corner, and we're just here waiting to see how that will play out. I'll be reading some of your comments on this conversation. Simon Wada on Twitter says, Wemimo, I think the Supreme Court wouldn't have entertained the reviewing the verdict on the Imo governorship election in the first place. Things that would have been addressed by the tribunal, says Barrister Bani, is on point and logical. Also here, Mutaza Meke Yusuf says, I think the Supreme Court is seemingly under siege. Isn't it obvious that a mysterious hand is doing a hand twist of the Supreme Court to do its bidding? Okay, if you can give me more details about that hand. He also says the ongoing Supreme Court review of its judgment is unprecedented in Nigeria, and it is appalling, disgusting, unacceptable in a democratic rule. It seems like our judiciary is under a siege by the political parties, and particularly the executive. What has the executive got to do with this? Joy Forever says, Imo case is very dicey. We should get electoral reform. That going to court will not be necessary. Court cases are there due to the fact that there are so many inconsistencies. I'm not so sure the Supreme Court can reverse itself unless there is overwhelming evidence. That's it. Let's see another one here. Let's go to WhatsApp. Imo Zamfara etc. Your message is long. It says, years ago, this same SAN told us that election disputes are what? Let me see. Can't see a message here. Sui generis. They are disputes unlike other legal disputes. They say election disputes are their own kind, unique or different than the normal, with legal technicalities highly prohibited. Says, for me, election disputes are not civil or criminal cases. They are moral disputes. Are they? Where we search for moral truth with a view to establishing the candidate people truly and freely gave the electoral mandate. Says, okay, good morning, Wemimo. Idowu Rasak Abraham from Ikorodu. I don't see any positive outcome from this review from the side of the PDP. I study political science, and many people would agree with me that people are sometimes cunning in their expertise. And I hope the Supreme Court will give us the benefit of doubt to have faith in our legal system, because people can give you all manner of reasons to justify their actions. That's the truth. I'm enjoying your show this morning, Mike. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for that. Good morning, Wemimo, the Ajuri way. Who is this? Olaide Cruz says the problem is about the entire country's judicial system that has been handcuffed by money in the bank political crocodiles. Corruption has ripped apart true system of judiciary. 1 million sections and articles of law contradicting a smooth transition of judgment. Corruption has stumbled both lawyers, judges. Nigeria judicial system is confusing institutions. Who wants to lose? Everyone wants to win. And that's right. But let's take you now to Abuja. That's right. If you're not on Facebook, So you can watch our correspondent Akiaba is there standing by to give us updates as to what's happening at the Supreme Court. Good morning. Hello. Oh goodness dear. Hello, can you hear me? I think not. Okay, so I'll try again because he's standing by right now at the Supreme Court to show us what's going on there this morning as everyone prepares for the ruling on the Imo election. But let me take some comments from Facebook while we get that sorted. Tochi Ugo says, it is likely that the Supreme Court may order for a rerun in this election. Is it? I'll be here to see. I mean, I would like to see it happen because there is a time frame after which you cannot call for a rerun. That time has lapsed. But then, can the Supreme Court call for a review in this matter? That's a conversation we'll be looking at right now. Let me see some of your comments. Let me try to read them from here on WhatsApp. Okay, Iye Mba. Oh gosh, I just lost that message. Andy Okoro, can the Supreme Court make a mistake? Yes. No organization that is run by imperfect person or persons can be perfect. Wiser Yakub says Nigeria is making history today. Whichever way, positive or negative, history will be made. Let's hope it's positive. Akin Abayomi is on the line. Akin Abayomi, good morning. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, I need you to speak a little louder. And Nigeria, I need you to go over to Facebook right now so you can watch Akin Abayomi join me live on the show from the Supreme Court premises in Abuja.
Hello.
Okay, can you hear me now? Hello, I can hear you if you can.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, better. Good morning. How are you doing?
I am all right.
What's the mood in Abuja generally before we come to the Supreme Court? What's the mood in Abuja today?
Well, in Abuja, everything is going normally. I see everybody is going with their normal, businesses. Unlike what it used to be, even towards the Supreme Court, though there was, security checks, but not as it used to be before now. So I guess everybody is tired with the, adjournment, and they are going with their normal businesses.
Right. You are right there at the premises of the Supreme Court. Have you seen members of both parties? Are they around yet? Are there councils there?
Well, notably, the national chairman of the ruling All Progressives Congress is presently in the courts.
And the other parties and the councils?
Well, the other party members are in the court, but not, chieftains of the party.
So we can say the chairman is early. What time is this judgment meant to start the sitting?
Well, the justices are expected in the courtroom by 9 o'clock, but yet we are yet to see them. Like yesterday, they came in at 9:19. Sitting started at 9:19 yesterday, so today too they are yet to come into the courtroom.
So they are running late. Okay, we note that.
Maybe Nigeria factor, I don't know.
Nigerian factor for Supreme Court justices. If you're watching on Facebook, you can see we're showing you footages from the sitting yesterday. That's a sitting from yesterday. You can see it live right now. Akin Abayomi, what's the mood from both parties? They both seem to be very sure they're going to win this. And I've just spoken with a barrister who says, well, we can't keep asking the Supreme Court to review itself because it's not an appeal court. Do this party still think they're going to win, looking at what happened yesterday?
Yeah, for me, the area going by yesterday's adjournment, I think on the part of counsel to Emeka Ihedioha, there seems to be a kind of a fear because you cannot continue to call like the first sitting. That was last month. They actually called for an adjournment that they needed to file some processes. And yesterday when we came in, they were still the same set that asked for an adjournment till today. That the processes were served them right in the court yesterday, of which since the day 2 weeks ago when the court sat, they called for an adjournment so that they could serve processes to, of course, the in this case, they are the applicants, and to the defendant. And from then till last week Friday, before they served the defendant, the process, it took too long. So those ones now re-answered them just yesterday in court. That was why they called for, an adjournment, of which the justices obeyed them and gave them till today. I think there's a kind of a fear from the outset. Maybe going by what happened last week, the judgment of Bayelsa, maybe they are thinking the same thing might, be applicable to them. I wouldn't know, but there seems to be this, anxiety on their own part.
Right. Taking a look at what happened yesterday, the barrister I spoke with somehow insinuated that judges like to sit on electoral cases. I wouldn't know why, but do you feel from the tone, the body language of the Supreme Court justices, are they eager to look into this case, or do they appear to be tired of looking into electoral matters?
Well, they don't have a choice. Going by what the Constitution says, they have to look into the case. The Constitution calls for review. But the question is, can the Supreme Court ever, overrule its judgment?
Right.
I don't think it has ever happened. It's what politicians are, making of our, judiciary. We, as a country, we need to be very, very careful. And that was why, before last week's judgment on that of Bayelsa, I spoke with a senior lawyer who actually told me that the Supreme Court go to anywhere the judgment is final. When they're calling for a review, they can actually look deep into it, but they can never, upturn or overrule their judgment. They can never make mistakes. That was what I was made to know. And the lawyer actually told me that after the review, that the counsel in the case they are called for the review might receive a kind of a backlash from the justices. And
well,
that was
exactly, if we take a cue from Bayelsa, they were even fined.
No, that was exactly what happened. This man told me before that of Bayelsa judgment. And that was exactly what happened. So I guess counsel to the PDP, Emeka Ayedioya, of course the PDP in this case, are afraid that the same thing might play out to them. That's the reason for this adjournment and adjournment. Of course, they have just 5 times to call for an adjournment. After the 5th time, they don't have a choice again than to face the consequence. So they still have time.
So they're asking for an adjournment when they are not ready, and they have limited calls on for adjournment.
They are called for 2 now. The first sitting and yesterday's sitting, making 2.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for the update there. We'll certainly be coming back to you again to know how this goes throughout the day. We're following up on Nigeria Info. Thank you so much, Aki.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. You too. If you're watching on Facebook, you see footages there of the sitting at the Supreme Court. You also saw Aki Abayomi, our correspondent Nigeria Info in Abuja, who is right there at the Supreme Court to follow this conversation for us. It is very interesting, very, very interesting to watch. And like many of you say on our Facebook feed, it is history making. Would the Supreme Court finally say, we don't want these kind of cases, but do they have a choice really? That's a conversation. Let me make your comments from Facebook. Uka Sociable says, hello, Wemimo. There have been a situation where the Supreme Court in the U.S. reversed itself. Olakumi Ayola says, hello, Wemimo. I pray our judicial system gets it right one day. Also here, I have a comment. Okay, I think I can't get it right now, but let me go back to the phones and hear from you. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Wemimo.
Hello, good morning to you.
My name is Chika.
Welcome, Chika. What do you think?
Well, I think it's quite unfortunate that we are treading the path that we're treading right now. Because this is the matter that the Court of First Instances, which is tribunal, the 3 justices, they actually looked at it very well and struck out the application of APC and Hope Uzodinma. Also at the Court of Appeal, of the 5 justices, 4 of them unanimously agree with PDP and Ihedioha, except 1 justice. And it's on that premises that the 7 justices of the Supreme Court only agree with 1 man of the Court of Appeal and ruled against the 4 other justices of the Court of Appeal. Now, my question is this. why is it that the Supreme Court didn't put in all the whole variables before actually coming to their final conclusion? Bearing in mind that Hope Uzodinma did not score the 25% requirement in the two-third local government in Imo State. Bearing in mind that he cannot fully prove that he scored that number of votes in the 388 polling units.
Unfortunately, both of them would have to prove that.
Because we've seen...
Because they both alleged that the other didn't score 25%, so...
Outside 25% votes. We've even seen that in the 388 polling units, that he allowed so many votes that he didn't score to himself.
Right.
So why is it that the Supreme Court justice didn't put all these things into consideration before actually arriving at their decision?
So would you say that at points like this, the Supreme Court should also award some fine to INEC? I mean, are we letting INEC off the hook here?
We're not letting INEC off the hook. The onion is on Supreme Court to actually call on INEC to actually prove this result. But the Supreme Court never did that. They went straight ahead and passed a judgment and award the victory to Hope Uzodinma, which ordinarily shouldn't have been so.
Thank you very much for calling. Let me take all the calls. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning to you. What's your name?
My name is Charles. I'm calling from Lekki.
Welcome to the show.
I think the question is when the Supreme Court gives a judgment that is logically upside down, can it correct itself?
So logically upside down is subjective.
In terms of figures, you are giving judgment. You have more votes than accredited, than even registered voters. It's logically upside down. So you should look at it. It has never happened, true. But has this mistake ever happened in Nigeria before? That's the question. If it has never happened that they make this kind of mistake, there's nothing wrong in correcting it.
Thank you very much. Simon Wada says on... okay, I think I've taken your comment earlier. I'll go to WhatsApp in a moment, but Vincent is calling from Apapa. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, I have a worry. And my worry is this. All these precedents that are being created here and there. Socially, Nigeria is down. Economically, we are down. And now to the court. And you can see the Supreme Court now that is going this back and forth since the coming on board of Tanko is the mouth of the gods there. So
what are the gods saying?
And the mouth of the gods is this: once they pronounce, you know, there will be, whether you like it or not. What I see from that, my own opinion, what I see from that judgment is two sides. They may just sound a note of warning to the litigants and just push them away, or give them the same thing, the same Bayelsa scenario when they are awarded a fine. So the problem now is this: what really is happening? Okay, Wemimo, I want to ask you something, because all this is boils down to the fundamentals we are talking about.
Yeah.
All this is when most of the few briefcase investors, not the investors per se, the briefcase ones. When they are hearing all this thing from outside, how will they come here? Because they know that there is a heavy inconsistency everywhere.
But understand that the Constitution gives room for things like this. That's why it can happen. If you feel aggrieved by the results of an election, you go to the tribunal, you can push it as far as the Supreme Court, and you can ask for a review. That's why they're asking for a review. Friday, Zatik Boalarin, good morning.
Good morning, my sister.
Good morning to you.
Yeah. Please, I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Are they the same judges that had the judgment the same time that will be still see today on this thing?
Yes, they are the ones. The PDP asked for a change, but I'm not sure any change was made. I can't confirm that right now, so I'm not sure, but I believe they are still the same justices.
If they are the same judges, these people are men, not children. Before, if you get home now as a man, your wife report any of your child to you, you have to think before you take a decision. I believe these people have said that this case did not just happen this year. It happened last year. There was enough time for them to have really make all the inquiry, make all the before coming up with the decision. Wherever I go today, I'm not a politician. Wherever I go, I just believe that we are not helping ourselves in this country.
Thank you, Friday. On WhatsApp, Mr. V here says, the Nigerian legal system is watered down to naught. Where's the place of checks and balances in this present administration? Someone is asking me, did I study political science? Is Nigeria not enough political science to study? Tony from Ojo, I think the Supreme Court put itself in this controversial situation. How on earth will you allocate votes not accredited and cast to a person based on the allegation that it's a person's stronghold? That's why I'm asking, are we letting INEC off the hook in this situation? Shouldn't they also be answering questions? Says, haven't we seen sitting politicians lose at their polling units? Please let the Supreme Court set the record straight now for future reference. Can the Supreme Court make errors? Yes. Can there be a room for review? Yes. But the truth in cases like this, cases like this come up when there is mistrust in the legal review system. The review will also expose the ills in the system for corrections. I believe this is from Idowura Sak. Thank you for that. Let me speak with Sonny, who is at Awoyaya. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
It's Sonny from Awoyaya.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, please, I want to ask a question. In Imo State, the Supreme Court gave judgment that Uche Nwosu, the candidate of AA, that is Richard Sokocha's son-in-law, is not a candidate of AA because he was supposed to be the APC candidate. In that same election, if Uche Nwosu is not a candidate of APC, by virtue of the judgment of the
So what the Supreme Court said is that is a pre-election matter and it would not hear that. That came up earlier in the sitting, and the Supreme Court made clear that that's a pre-election matter, and the Supreme Court does not rule on such matters. So that's not even up for debate.
And does that make Hope's Uzodinma the candidate of APC?
Well,
when they are supposed not to have any candidate.
Well, since they didn't pursue that legally before the elections or after, that's not what they're asking the Supreme Court for. So the Supreme Court is not even looking at that at all, unfortunately. Thank you for calling. Abdul is at Ikeja. Good morning, Abdul.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, well, my take on this is like the Supreme Court and INEC are both to blame. First, INEC has, ever since the present chairman, Mahmoud, came on board, there have been controversy about the election the guy is conducting. During JEGA 2015 election, there are less litigation. Less people went to court after the election because one way or the other, there was credibility to the election. But for Mahmoud, it has been one issue or the other. Then for Supreme Court.
So you think this is a problem with the leadership of the Supreme Court?
Of INEC.
Of INEC, yes, you mean. Okay.
Yes. If you conduct a very credible election, there will be less people going to court. It happened in 2015 with JEGA.
Yeah.
Less people went to court at the end after the election. But with Mahmoud, from day one, inconclusive is one way or the other, is making things work for the judiciary.
So we could almost predict that there will be lots of litigations.
Yes.
Right, thank you, Abdul. Let me speak with Austin at Surulere. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Wemimo.
Yes, good morning.
So I have a contribution to make.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so what I'm asking is that, like somebody first of all said just now that Supreme Court, put itself in this condition by making an illogical conclusion, an illogical ruling. And you were kind of saying that it was subjective. Yes, there's nothing like subjectivity in this issue.
Well, let's wait and see. The Supreme Court will not agree with you that it was illogical.
I've not finished my point, sir.
Okay, make it.
Okay, the point I'm making is that, okay, look, 1 is less than 2. 2 is greater than 3. There's no subjectivity about this. Okay, you are also asking what is the position of INEC here? INEC does not have any issue here because INEC has accredited. But Supreme Court is telling INEC that what you did is wrong. So, and INEC is the... Yes, I know. But what I'm saying is that INEC has said that this is what they did. And INEC is supposed to be umpire. So why would you not tell an umpire that? And all the while, INEC has not told us that they did any wrong thing.
Unfortunately, this is not just about INEC. This is about each party thinking that they won when they were told that they lost. This conversation would not end, but don't worry, we're covering this for you on Nigeria Info throughout the day. But I do need to go now. I see you all. I see your messages. I see everything, but I really do need to go now. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. on the Morning Crossfire with more conversations as heated as usual. I'm Wemimo Adewuni, but Soji Andrews is here to give you a taste of what's happening at 9:30. Don't worry, I got you covered.
Hi. Good morning.
Hi to you too. What's happening at 9:30?
Today's Tech Tuesday, and we're going straight into technology stories. A few things happening across the world. Facebook suing people, cloning of WhatsApp numbers multiplying across the country. Yeah, pretty much.
Wow, that's scary. Things. Sounds pretty scary.
Yeah. So somebody will clone your WhatsApp number, and then from WhatsApp groups and things like that, and then particularly start sending messages across. And
even when I have the two-step verification done.
That's you.
I got you. Guys, join that conversation at 9:30 and see how you can stay safe. You use WhatsApp a lot, right? But you need to also protect yourself. The Morning Crossfire show is back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Make sure to join. I'm on social media at Wemimo Sport. Let's talk there. Have a good day.